Hello, hello. We are testing the microphone levels, and we're gonna have to wait to see it. So, thank you to those of you that are here right now. We probably know you. Surprising, I know. Here, let's see what would be good. I can move this way more.
All right.
We hear ourselves. And I think we're pretty good. You can't hear, I can hear. It sounds good.
Okay. All right, well, let us know. I can't.
No, it sounds good. We can just jump into it.
We're good?
Okay. It sounds good.
All right. Hello, everyone. So this is going to be super casual. Basically, we wanted to do a live stream as a thank you to everybody who's watched our software reviews, and we get a ton of amazing comments on our videos asking for further clarification or specific use case questions, and we wanted to have a format. We wanted to experiment with a format where you can come on and ask us questions and basically get like a consult from us as much as possible through this kind of live format. So there's no silly questions. There's no questions that are too specific. If you are here and you have come with questions, like, please ask them. And we're gonna try our best to help you as much as possible. And if we don't see questions coming in, we also have some content planned to talk through some new features. We want to show you motion flows. We want to show you a new Superhuman email feature and a new Arc search feature as well. So we have some content planned, but that's not the priority. The priority is answering your questions, but as long as they're coming through. If they're not coming through, then we're going to just have a chit chat, and feel free to jump in at any time and cut us off, because like I said, this is about everyone else. Cool?
Cool.
Okay, one quick plug before we get started. So we have a quiz on...
It is a bit choppy.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right. Can I get you to put the quiz link in the bio? This is the only plug that I'm gonna do for this event. We have a quiz that we released on our website not too long ago, basically because we get a lot of questions about which software should I use for project management as a CRM. We typically ask someone like 3 to 5 questions to understand a little bit more about their business and their use case, and we put all of those questions in a quiz format, so you can now go to our website and you can go through it and get some personalized recommendations. It's basically like a little slice of our brain share. It's free to take. So that's the only plug that I'm gonna do. If you're looking for any software in any software category, we don't have every category under the sun, but we have a bunch. You can also request categories. Cool.
And we are sharing screen. Okay.
Cool.
That doesn't need to be there.
All right, so that's that. Okay, so if you have any questions, just drop them down in the chat from this point forward at any point. But while we're waiting to see if things are coming through, let's start talking about a new feature, flows, that everybody has been anticipating on Motion, or from Motion. Sorry, there's a lot of things going on with the screen here that Alex is clicking on, so that's kind of what's grabbing my attention. All right. Can we share Motion?
I am trying.
Okay, so this is our Motion. It's not actually our Motion account. It's like our evaluation Motion account that we're using for the live stream, but it's like tied into how we actually use Motion. So from the Motion tutorial that you may have watched, Flows has introduced a new way that we're going to be managing projects slightly. And we're gonna do an updated video on this, and then we're also gonna bake this into our course. So for anybody that's waiting on this Motion course, we're also waiting for Motion to release a few more features. That's what's taking us so long, because we don't wanna create the course and then it's immediately outdated. So we're waiting on them to release flows to everybody, as well as a couple more things, and then we're gonna package it all up together. But, okay. Any words on flows? I know you were really excited about them.
Yeah, so the thing with flows is that we have essentially been building processes, and you'll see in the video, if you've seen the motion video, where if you're more in the project type view, so if we go into grid view here, and let's go over to the default view and change this to, let's say, default shared. So the way that we were kind of functioning with it before, this is kind of an updated view from it, but we were using stages to actually bring the task through different stages in the process. And we had a bunch of different stage names at the top. So flows is kind of like repurposing that. So there's, instead of stages, instead of statuses, which is what you're probably used to seeing in motion right now, is essentially to do, in progress, in review. Like, these are very basic statuses now, and flows enable you to create stages which allow you to enact process. So before, the way that we had guided you, if you're watching the prior video, was to essentially create a bunch of statuses that in a way were more process focused. But really what we need to be doing kind of with flows and what it enables for is we're simplifying statuses. It's going to be very basic to do, maybe in progress, maybe complete. If you want a couple other ones, that's fine. But flows will kind of enact more of the process in place. So we can go through and show you some examples of what we've done with flows. So if we jump into here and we go into project templates. So flows are essentially, they call them flows, but they're project templates, and you can create a new project template from the settings area. And the point of this is it's a repeatable process that you're bringing someone through. So you can essentially create a new flow here, and we've created some for new video, live event, short, and they have some pre-templated ones over here. So I'm just going to show you essentially what we have built out for new video, and then we can kind of go through and show you how it functions. So you could essentially go through, and these are all the tasks that are involved with us creating a new video, from who are the roles associated with it, from project manager to designer to talent, writer, all the things like that, and then variables that maybe you want to change. So for example, the video name might be a variable that you want in each task. So when the task is showing up on your calendar, you can actually reference it. Know from a quick glance view that that is actually a task that you want to get done. And you can go through these up in the top area here. These are actually the stages, and these can be created separate for each flow. So you could have hundreds of stages within a workspace within Motion moving forward, and it's not going to overly complicate things because each one is siloed to the specific flow that you're building. So you can see here all of that. You could pull in descriptions here and there for more granular context, put in how long something's going to take. You can assign it to an individual team member here, or you could just do like the categorization of, well, the designer is going to work on this, and who's the designer? Well, maybe you have 3 designers on your team, and that could be determined who has capacity at that point. So that's kind of the setup area, and we can just go into what that looks like. So if we are, for example, doing a new video, we'll do new project. Is video the one that you think we should show off?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is probably what we put most of the work into, the video one. And you essentially have your deadline set, and all of the deadlines are relative to the start date of the project. So when we were going through the flows, we were saying, well, this step's going to take a day, this step's going to take a week, this step's going to take 2 weeks, for example. And so we can shift this date if we're saying, okay, well, it's Friday today. Let's pretend that it's Friday. Well, we're probably not going to actually start this until Monday, but we want to be prepping for that. So you can make the start date on Monday, and that will shift everything forward. This stream is delayed, so I'm like, wait, it's not showing the screen. So, okay, so in the project manager, in this case, we would say, for example, Andra's the project manager. We have the designer, which is not in this environment, but we'll add them in. That's actually quite important. And then talent, let's say that Andra's also the talent. She's also the writer. And then we have Owen is the video editor. So this is kind of like a one-off thing where it's going to generate all of these tasks and assign them to the relevant parties. And then under the software, let's say that we're doing this video on Motion. And then the category maybe is let's do calendar, for example. Project ID is something that we're just using for organization. We can leave that, and we'll just, for now, we'll just say live. That could be a good project ID. So upon creating it, you'll see that you need to just put in the project task name. So we're just gonna say like live stream flows. Example. Cool. So you'll see here what it's about to create. So it's giving you a glimpse of all the tasks that are involved and the different stages that these tasks are involved. Obviously, you start with the first stage, which is scripting, then we move to filming, ready to edit, and so on. But the great thing about flows is it doesn't need to create these further tasks until it's actually time to be created. So you'll essentially see here, it says that this task will be created when the stage begins. So that's a way where you get to just focus on what you need to do, and things are being blocked by those tasks being completed. And so I'm gonna go through and just say, actually, I'll go in here real quick and say that this category is calendar, just from an organizational standpoint. So something that we'll be showing as well too is, well, Motion has labels, which are kind of these general, you can add anything in here and it can mean anything. We do recommend more so building out these custom fields. So you can see here there's text and there's multi-select. Typically we recommend multi-select, which makes it a bit more formatted and structured. So that's where we created one for category. Since we're a software review site, we essentially have many different categories. That's the main crux of the organization of our site. So we're pretty much saying, well, is this video based on calendar, or maybe it's daily planner, or maybe it's both, and you can select both of those. So in this case, we're just gonna say calendar. We're gonna say, okay, cool, everything looks good. This is relevant because when you go through and filter out tasks, it just allows you to better categorize things. So we're gonna create this project, and you'll see that it just generated 3 tasks and assigned them to relevant parties. So this is the great thing with flows, where we just need to actually focus on one task right now, because you'll see here this little blocked section, and if we hover over it, it says that you can't finish, well, Andra is blocking herself. She can't finish scripting or start scripting until the research stage is done. So you can see that it's blocked based on that, and it's assigned to her, it's scheduled on her calendar, and you can click into the tasks more specifically and say that you can see the start date and the deadline, and you can see that it's auto-scheduled on June 3rd. So we're not in Andra's account right now in Motion, but you would actually see that this task is assigned to Andra. Let me just bring this actually over to the left a little bit and see how this works on the stream, because we are cutting off, and I just want to make sure all that is seen. And cool. So you can see here all the information, and this is assigned to Andra. So the flow has started. So what Andra would do is she would go through here, and we actually spelled calendar. I just spelled calendar wrong. So all. So in
So don't do that.
in all of the tasks that are generated now and going to be generated, calendar is going to be spelled wrong. Okay, so what Andra would do is essentially she would have this task on her calendar for the day. She would go through and she would check off the subtasks that have to be done, and she can say like, oh well, maybe I worked on for 30 minutes for the day, but we still have the brainstorm thumbnail video idea set up, and then she gets to a point and says, okay, well I'm actually done with this. So she can go through and say, well, this task is no longer to do, it's completed, so you can complete task here. Or, if you want to say like, I'm working on it, just to let the team know. This would just be to kind of, for your awareness, or to let the team know in progress. But let's just go say and complete the task. And you'll see completing the task, what happens is it unblocked this task, which also is Andra's task that has to be done. So then you'll see here that Andra now has this misspelled task on her calendar
Again.
that she is no longer blocked by, and she's seeing though that it blocks me. So what I need to do, what is my task? We jump in to see, okay, well I need to review the script once Andra's done with it. So she could literally see on her calendar what she's blocking, which is me, the team member, and let's just go through and say, all right, cool, well, she finished that, and then all right, well, let me actually just do it from here so it's more visual. So let's say that this task here is, you can just click here and complete task. I'm doing this just because it's more so visual. When I click this, you're gonna see that it just went and unblocked this. So now we actually have a task, and this is gonna be on my calendar. I probably should have cleaned my calendar up before this call, for this live stream, but it says that it's scheduled for June 6th. Because again, we said that the start date for this was following weeks from now. So if I actually go to June 6th.
Will this even show up? This is not your account.
Oh, good point. So let me actually, just for testing purposes then, go through and say that this task here this is just driving me nuts. And it's signed to Alex. I'm going to assign it to here. And we'll see here. So it's assigned for June 3rd now because there's more works available. So you'll see here that the task is on the calendar. And let me just go. Okay, so essentially your team members will just have a task thrown on their calendar when it's their turn and when they're essentially blocking other people or anything of the sort. So this is the great part about flows. It's that Andra started a new project. We started this project together, and we actually don't need to, other team members don't even need to think about it until it's actually their turn, until actually they are blocking the project from moving forward. So yeah, so before we were teaching you in the tutorial to come here and then go to your workspace, and then under statuses, you had your statuses, and then also under your templates, we were saying like create a video task template, and you'll see that this is super familiar. And with this new release, this is much more manual, obviously, and we were saying like once you're done with your part, like then you assign it to the next person, and you kind of have this master task that's going from person to person. With flows, it's just so much more powerful because tasks can be auto-scheduled individually on your calendar, but that also changes a little bit of how you're going to use your workspace, because under projects, these flows are now going to appear here. So you see this is like a live stream. So it kind of breaks the process that we were using before with just having like one overarching project that was like for best calendar apps, and then we were moving that task through that specific project. But how you want to think about them is flows are only for super processized bigger projects, essentially. So we follow the same process for every single video that we create. And with what I want to also say about that is when people say that they have difficulty setting up motion or project management tools in general, I think what we're seeing is most of the difficulty doesn't come from the actual tool. It comes from figuring out what your process is. And that's the part that takes the most time and requires the most investment. So if you're new to using motion and you're feeling like still overwhelmed with it, or you're like, I haven't quite gotten it right, like now is a really good time, because with this new release of Flows, is it available on everyone's account by now, Flows? Questionable. If not, it's very soon. Yeah. Very soon. Okay. So once it appears on your account, it's a good time to go, okay, if we have this process in our business, like what are the steps that we need to take? And sometimes that takes like honestly a week or two. We've seen like you sit down, there's normally one champion at the company that does a rough draft of what that looks like. And then you go to other stakeholders and go, okay, well, Alex, I want you in on this part. If I assign this task to you and it looks like this and it says this, does this connect with you? Will you understand what needs to be done, etc. And then you can map it all out to the software, and then it's there as a template, and then you can start really utilizing it and seeing the power of the tool. So think of it like also versus other project management tools. If you were to really build out a process, you would have all of these tasks added to your calendar, or not your calendar, because a lot of these don't actually sync to your calendar, but they would just be added to your project management tool. So we were using Asana for a while. If we were to create a project like this, you'd have all of these tasks that are just created in the project. And the thing that we love about this is that they're not created yet. We can see what is about to be created. But in terms of, if we go in and view where is this project at, it's so simple. There's one task. There's literally one task in this stage of the flow. If, for example, though, you want to say like, hey, we're not done with this task, but we need to move forward because we want to actually start filming it. And you know what, Alex, you're not reviewing the script, and we don't even want to say that it's been completed because it's not completed. But Andra's like, I just want to start the next stage of the process. You can click this button and start the stage now, or that would just automatically start. Like, let's say we actually did finish it in that sense. So this has been completed. You see filming just went here and it just generated all of the tasks for this. So now these tasks are now assigned to Andra and scheduled on the calendar, and the tasks that aren't able to be done yet are blocked. So if you hover over here, it shows you that like it can't be done yet until the setup for the calendar is completed, which is essentially setting up. You're seeing the way that we do all the things that we do between setting up lighting and recording audio and all the things like that. So from a simplicity standpoint, you'll see that each step each stage in the flow is when it starts generating them. So these ones have been generated, but the ready to edit, editing, our video editor has no tasks on its calendar or in the project manager or anything. Like you get to just focus and stay in the flow of literally what needs to be done for this step of the process. And also on the calendar standpoint, which we can't see, well, I wonder if I could just go and assign all these. For the demo, I should have just pretended that this account was the one that gets everything assigned to, so you can actually see. But so June 4th is when this is scheduled for. So here we are, June 4th, and it's saying, so it is putting these on the calendar because they do need to be done. It's part of the process, but you see to the left of it here, it does say that it's blocked by, and it could be a different team member, but in this case it's ourselves. So it does schedule it on your calendar because it's part of the stage that we're now working in the next stage of the flow, but it is...
it's all being blocked by this task.
Yeah, so from a top level view, you're like, oh wow, I actually have a lot of things I need to do, which we purposely did this because like for filming, we want to do this in one day. Whoever's doing this, all of these tasks really need to be done in the same day. So you should be kind of overwhelmed. Oh shoot, my day's booked out with filming, because that's true, but it is only letting you do the one that is blocking all the other ones. So let's go through and say, cool, this has been completed. And then you'll see that it goes and shifts everything up. Actually, I can also go through and, okay, so it should enable the other ones now.
I think you just need to maybe refresh.
Yeah, so just thinking, or we need to double check. Yeah, let's see. Or it's because we're on a beta version. Yeah, so anyway, you get the point of what this is doing. It's literally just the icon is not changing, but that's all. Like you can move forward and do the step. Yeah, blocked by, because it's not blocked by anything anymore. So that's kind of the main gist of flows, and you can just go through and we'll just kind of give you some dopamine of completing all of these. So let's just say that we completed this one, completed this one, completed this one, and this one, and then it moves to ready to edit, and now our editor gets the task scheduled on his calendar, and he's probably confused why he needs to be doing work right now, because he doesn't need you. Don't worry, Owen, if you're watching this, you don't need to do this. This is a test. But yeah, so this is flows, and happy to answer any questions if anything comes up along the way, or if you have any specific use cases or would like some suggestions on how maybe you should set things up or think through your process, happy to discuss that as well. But as a whole, you get really a top level overview of where things are at in this case. So yeah.
And if you still have, like, for example, non-processized projects, which we do, because sometimes like under CRM, we might want to update a blog post, and then we might want to like tweak some SEO on a page, maybe something like that. We're still throwing it in like a master project that's called CRM, and then we're just adding individual tasks to that project. So we're only using flows for like super processized projects.
And then from a view standpoint, this is where you could kind of choose to say, I'm specifically in the live stream, or this project that we're working on right now, and there's to do, in progress, in review. So there's also this second layer where you can see the status that the project is in based on who is working on it. You could even break it in by like a signee, for example. So let's go and say, so you can literally see, I'm gonna hide completed here, so you don't need to show completed unless you don't want. It is kind of nice from a project level. You're like, oh wow, like efficient evaluation, they did a lot of tasks. So, but we're gonna hide this for this purpose. So it is kind of nice where we're in the next stage of the flow. Alex has one task, Andra has two, our video editor has one. So it allows you to slice and dice this in many different ways. Or if you prefer list view, you can also do that and see all the data here, and even the roll-ups of, okay, Andra has 17 hours of this task. because it's saying that she needs to edit the calendar video because we were just messing around with who the editor was and everything like that. That would really be Owen. So Owen has 19 hours of work to do in this. So that is, have fun with that.
Okay, we have a question. So Michelle, hi Michelle, says, is it possible to let schedule a task
Okay, is it possible to
event?
schedule a task during a calendar event?
I'd like to have a task show at the same time
when I'm in a meeting. I'm multitasking. So technically you can. It's more like the calendar is going to show tasks on them so we have all these tasks that were completed for right now.
Maybe toggle that off.
Yeah. Let's do this, and I'm gonna go here. We just need a task assigned to this account, and we can kind of show you. So we can do an example of this.
Well, this is actually a good example.
Yeah, so we have a lot of things going on. The thing is, the start date is for next week is the problem.
No, but we have the make event then. So
so I want to show an example of literally a current task of that. So like we're in the middle of a live stream right now.
Okay.
And you can say, all right, well, cool, I'm going to multitask. This project needs to be done a little bit in the future, but you can right click and you can start task now. And you can say, well, I'm going to work on this task for 30 minutes, and you can start it. And it will actually pull the task in during the event that you're in. So if I actually make this the day view, it'll probably look a little bit better. So it's like, hey, we're in the live stream, and we have a task that we're working on right now, and you can essentially do that if you'd like. So
you can also, and I don't know, I was going to say you can change the event to free, and then that will allow you to schedule a task, but that will also allow other people to book on your calendar. So not really recommended to do it that way. But if you go into the future, go next week, you see that we have a calendar event there because that's like a free event. We're not actually attending.
It's not our event, so we can't actually mark it as free. So
imagine this was our calendar. Then if that was a free event, you can assign,
well, here,
let's tasks.
Let's just do an event here, and let's say that we change it to be free. So if it is a free event, test event, then it would start booking in. I really wish I did the start date now for all of these tasks to be in the current week. So let's pull that in for today, just to get some stuff pulled in here. Let me actually just do list view, and let's just pull in the date, and let's do today. And let's do today. Let's see. The thing is, it might schedule for...
She says, I've done that. However, I'd like to schedule the task ahead of time during a meeting.
Okay. So, I mean, what you can do is, let's say during this meeting here, I don't know, let's say that we want to take this, I want to take a short task, not a long task. But this is chunked into many small tasks. So I'm going to say that this is actually a 30-minute task. So you can take it and you can drag it to during the meeting, for example, and you can move the task and it will forcefully move it there. So if I go and I do the day view, so you'll see that it's actually forcefully moved and locked in at this point. Typically, it's not super recommended to be locking tasks because they can't, if you happen to not work on it during the event, then it won't auto reschedule because you've kind of like locked it into that task. But then you can also unlock it if you'd like, and then that will kind of free it up and it will move it because it's like, oh shoot, this is during an event that is busy and you shouldn't be able to be doing that during that time. So I don't know if that...
Not making the event show is free. Okay, so I started the task not during the meeting. So I think, yeah, dragging it to lock it in, and then as long as you complete the task and you mark it as done, then that's great. If you don't complete the task, then you would want to unlock it, to summarize what Alex just said.
Hey Ryan, yep, so we are planning on making this available afterward. We have to talk about it, but...
We're not sure how long, we're not sure because this is such an experimental format. It sounds like you would like it to be available.
We can also potentially do unlisted and share it with people if you're on our newsletter. Maybe we can share it on the newsletter where it's like, hey, here was last live stream, or we can figure something out with that. Maybe make sure that you're subscribed to the newsletter and we can do that.
Yeah, I think we're just trying to figure out, because we'd like to do a video on flows on our channel that's like professionally edited and way more concise. But that's why we're kind of like, this isn't the best format to show it off for people who haven't showed up live, because we're going to talk about a few other things here. Locking this recurrent task, does that wreck future daily scheduling?
So I don't know. It shouldn't. So, okay, so this adds another piece of information in. So what you're saying is you're creating a task and you are making it a recurring task, and we're going to say, I don't want to keep saying live stream because everything's going to say live stream. Let's do triage email inbox. That's a good thing to do during, especially if it's a meeting or a webinar or something of the sort. So let's say this is going to take 15 minutes, and let's say daily on weekdays. Actually, maybe to more so show the point, what is today? It's Tuesday. So we're going to say, let's do this on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whatever, fine. And we're saying do it through 8 to 5 p.m. So you have a custom schedule, or you can do pre-built ones. Just making sure all this is good. Duration 15 minutes. Cool. Let's say high priority just from a scheduling perspective thing. So we'll create this task. So it's a recurring task. So the way that it is, let me just find the task here. Triage email inbox. So this is scheduled. Let me do the week view real quick.
It was on the day as well. No.
It's on the current day.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, I love the day view.
Yeah.
Like, I love using this one for when I'm actually like trying to just get through work. It's great.
So, okay, so let's say, for example, this is a recurring task you can see. And if I go and I pull this in and I say that I want to, the problem right now is it is scheduled for right now, but let's say I want to do it for during the test event later. So it will essentially move this specific task to that, not the recurrence. So I think if we go to Tuesday, Thursday, which I don't think, okay, so here you can still see that it's still the 8 a.m. to triage email inbox. And then Friday should also have one. Yep, here. So on Friday. And then Saturday shouldn't, Sunday wouldn't. And then we can even go here. So you can see that we have essentially changed the recurrence to be the first event for it. So if we go back to today, you'll see that we have this here at 4 p.m. and all the other instances of it are not. So I'll just go way forward. You'll see all these are at 8 a.m. So it does not mess with it. You can do that, and it's very much, it respects the recurrence in that sense. Yeah.
I'll also mention, sometimes we get questions asked about recurring tasks, and it's like, I want this to happen only at 8 a.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays, for example. And sometimes people are like, motion scheduling it on my calendar at different times. The way that you would get around that is setting up a work schedule or a schedule that is like, say, between 8 and 8:30 a.m. and you would assign that recurring task within that schedule, if that makes sense.
Yes. Sorry, I'm actually making the stream be a little bit more pretty.
I'm like waiting for you to be my right-hand man here, or left-hand man.
Sorry, do you want to say that one more time?
Okay. I'll take the mouse. That's being occupied.
No. It's okay. Okay. Yes. No, because the thing is we're covering, our face is actually covering up the tasks section.
I see.
So what I was trying to do is have another view here and copy it and then paste it over here. So just give me one quick second.
Alex used to live stream every Sunday talking about BlackBerry. Fun fact. So he's very comfortable with this.
Yeah, this is fine. We're all having fun here. Okay, so we have hidden our faces for a moment.
Are we coming back?
We can come back.
Okay.
And yes. So, okay. Yeah. What were you going to say?
So I was just going to show that if you do recurring task.
Yeah. You can't do it from here.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. Sorry. Blanked out for a second. And you want to assign it to a specific schedule.
Yeah.
Here you go. So you see how there's day, anytime, night, personal hours, work hours. You can add a schedule that's like just for an hour in the morning if you wanted it to be that specific time. And that's how you would get around if you want that recurring task scheduled at a specific time on certain days.
Just an asterisk though, like adding a schedule is actually building a custom repeatable one. So I wouldn't create that if you're just doing one off. The custom schedule is actually meant for just a one-off. I just want to say do this from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. and ideally would start at 5:30 a.m. That would essentially tie it in for, I guess, like just the day side of things. If you want to get more granular like this, it is one of those things where it's like if you keep creating these, you're going to have a lot of schedules. So typically create a schedule when you're actually wanting to use it probably multiple times.
Like I have one for the morning, and that is my morning schedule if I want just something assigned like before I get into the depths of work, etc. And I want to throw in like any kind of recurring task or any task that I want to get done in the morning specifically. And then I have my work schedule, and then I have my anytime schedule, and then I have my night schedule, I think. And that's it.
Yeah, it just, the tough thing is if the meetings are busy and you have it respect that, then it's typically, like you're probably going to have to drag it over more specifically when you want something to happen. Maybe if you have if you're saying you're having a recurring meeting and during that recurring meeting you always want it to essentially create a task, then in that case, you could in theory create a schedule and say that meeting is always at 1 to 2 p.m. on Monday and Wednesday. Then you could essentially be like, only have this recurring task happen during Monday and Wednesday at those times. And you can essentially save that schedule, which I didn't do a name for it, and then that would be selected.
Maybe I need to make a specific schedule for this particular task. Yeah.
So it's a bit difficult. I think that the assumption that is made in the software is like, if you're in a meeting, you shouldn't be doing tasks. That lets you do that, and you could do that by kind of forcefully starting it, by adding the task, by starting the task when it's on your calendar by just saying like, click here, start task, or kind of the way that we had showed where you like manually drag that over. But so.
Okay.
Should we jump into some
I
other
was going
stuff
to say,
in
does
there,
anyone
or?
have any more motion-related questions? If you do, drop them in the chat. But I guess for now, we'll move on to Superhuman, which is the email software that we use and we love. We've used it for, I think I've used it for 4 or 5 years now. Alex has used it for...
I can't show...
Yes, you can. It's working now. Yeah, refresh.
You're sure? Because I just refreshed.
It was working on my computer. Go Command K update. Check for updates. Yeah, they did enable it.
Wow. Thank you, Superhuman.
So this is also a new Superhuman feature. I don't think it's released to all accounts yet. We just did a short on it. And should we play the short?
I mean, we didn't set up audio for
Okay,
play.
never mind.
Let me just throw this at you live.
Okay, wait. Ryan said, very new to motion, and this is probably an off-topic question, but was wondering, whenever I'm getting into a new system, I struggle with how to apply the hierarchy of the built-in system. I know whenever I'm getting into a new system, I struggle with how to apply the hierarchy of the built-in system. I know Motion uses tags, boards, and other organizational tools, but I'm not sure what makes sense for how to set it up. We do mostly 4 types of projects: branding, web, one-off, and retainers, and we typically have 3 to 8 projects ongoing at a time. Should each project get a board, or each project type? And when do we use tags?
Okay, hold on. There's a lot of things coming up here, and I'm gonna have to reread what you wrote or what you just read. So it's probably. Whenever I'm getting a new system, I struggle with how to apply the hierarchy of the built-in system. I know Motion uses tags, boards, and other organizational tools, but I'm not sure what makes sense for how to set it up. We do mostly 4 types of projects: branding, web, one-off, and retainers, and we typically have 3 to 8 projects ongoing at a time. Should each project get a board or each project type? Okay, so let's pretend that we are a web development company. We were at one point.
Yeah, this is not too far from, we were actually, after being a web development company, which was Alex on his own, we were an automation company. So we had probably exactly like you, 10 or so projects, 3 to 8 projects at a time. And they were ongoing for us. They didn't even have a stop date because we had a support tier. So what we did in our case is we set up a workspace that was called customers, and then we had a project for each customer. That's
probably can't.
Probably not.
Let me just camera only for a quick second here. Hi folks, good to see us big.
Whee!
I'm gonna go into customers
It's tough.
and
It's tough with live streaming because obviously it's easy for us to share our own accounts, and when we're editing videos we can edit out sensitive information, but when we're live streaming obviously we don't have that luxury, so that's why we're
on the
just
plus
editing.
side,
It didn't sync over to this account.
no, on the plus side, we just haven't had customer projects in a while because we've moved on to content. So positive, negative, we can't really show what's going on there. But yeah, so what we were doing is we would create different projects for each customer, and for types of branding, web, one-off. So what we would actually do in this case is we would probably recommend, because, okay, when you have a branding project, a web project, one-off, and retainer, there's probably different types of processes that need to go into play. So branding is a different process than web. If they're not, then it does make sense to just create one flow for that. So we would say essentially go to the flows area, go to customers, go to project templates, and create one for the client service or the creative and design for like a web development project, and have that specific to it. So I'm just gonna create this real quick actually. So you'd go through and you would create this, and then the point here is like the client name is the variable that they have set up. So let's go to projects, and then we're in customers, and the point would be to create a project and then use this, and you're gonna say the client name is ABC Corp. So this would essentially, let's say, be the branding project, and then we would create another one of these templates for web, and then same with one-off. If one-off, it depends. Like if you can, how big of a one-off project is it? It's probably a larger project, and we would also say create a standalone flow for the one-off project as well.
Yeah, as long as your branding projects, like you're following a process like this, which you probably are to a certain degree, but like for example, for our automation customers, like we had, you know, like a questionnaire that they would fill out in the beginning, and then we would do like an onboarding call, but from there every project was so different, so we couldn't actually really use flows in that case, like even if we had it.
Yeah.
We would be just creating a what's it called, project with our customer name, and then we would put in specific tasks that we needed to do for them to get their project across. But that was because the work we were doing was so highly custom. But if you do have like processes that you're following, the flows is a better approach to it.
Yeah.
And then you can have tags.
Okay, so let me get into tags, because I was just talking with the team about this. So tags is kind of more of a legacy feature of sorts. So let me just go to where we actually have it more updated. We're building the growth stage out. Like this is where we want to have our growth environment, which we're using, be the most up to date, and moving our processes to that. And then that's what we're going to essentially make the video and the course around, to show people how we're using it. So we kind of were told from the team that they're going to look to get rid of labels more and more.
When he says team, he means motion team.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay, so think of it this way. It's the same way with the CRM and any other software as well. Labels, in a sense, are the term of like tags. Other software will use the term tags. They're all kind of the same. And it is like you can create anything around it. Like you can see here that we have enhancement as a tag, and then we have video and SEO and short. Like there's so many different things for it. And the recommendation is to have a process, because I totally understand as well you feeling overwhelmed figuring out like what the actual process is. So you should really, once you have a process in place, there's probably certain data points to the task that are useful, or the project, and creating custom fields for that will allow you to have structure around it. And it's better to have, like, for example, right now we haven't really done it yet because we're still trying to think through it, but let's say short and video and newsletter and article, like that is almost like media format of sorts. So the point would be to create a category that would be like format, and that would be obviously the terminology. She's like, I don't like that word. Like that's not whatever. And I agree. It's just more, that allows you to have more structure around. Think of your team being onboarded and using it. This more tells them what this needs to be, whereas this is very general, which is typically, when it's general, it's not a good idea unless you're throwing random miscellaneous things that occasionally you might use or something of that sort. So hopefully that makes sense.
Do you have any other examples of categories?
Another category, I mean, 'cause we're kind of building this out. Let's say, I mean, for categories we have, like, what do we do in the CRM?
We would put like industry, like vertical that our clients were working
Let's say when we're working with a customer,
we put like
maybe
team size.
Maybe there's like a certain tier that they're on, and that's going to affect whether it's response time or priority or something of the sort. So we had different customers, like we had premium, we had like core customers and different tiers to that, and Premier Plus, that was essentially like a larger customer that was paying more per month and they got more of our time. So you might have, for example, I guess at the project level, maybe you'd want to do that instead, actually. So if we do, so it would be more, so this is a flow, and the flow has this at the project level. Sorry. Yeah, okay. So flows are different than projects, but it would be here. And I'm just trying to think if the category, yeah, I guess you could do that. You can say, okay, let's throw one in here, and let's call it customer, I don't know, service level or
Support level.
Support level. Multi-select, and let's just say basic, Premier, and Premier Plus. So you can essentially say at the project level, the customer is a Premier customer, and you can save it. And then that allows you kind of at the top level, let's say here, and I need to actually, I don't want to do this. I want to actually do sorting. I want to filter projects based on the support level of Premier. So like this would be a way for you to say at the workspace level, so you might have like 5 different customer projects, like different customer projects, but you're saying, I just want to look at the Premier projects. Oh, is this stream being a bit choppy, actually? Yeah. Let us know at any point if someone's watching and they're just like, hey, your audio is bad or the stream is super choppy, but should hopefully be somewhat okay. So think of it this way as well. It's like custom fields kind of allow you to slice and dice this information in different ways. You could even do it from the standpoint of, let's say the support level is going to be at a lower level here. So you can say support level is first and then status is second. So in this case, you can say, like, it just lets you slice and dice the information different ways. So you can say, okay, well, basic, we have no tasks to be done. Premier, we have no tasks to be done because this is at the project level right now. Show completed tasks and projects. Yeah, because right now I am showing, I made the project complete, but let me change this to an example. Sorry, just trying to get like actual tangible examples when live is a difficult thing, but let me try here, and then let's do status, support levels. Instead, we're gonna do category. So in this way, you can essentially say, think of custom fields as a way to split the information up in a structured way. So what are the CRM tasks that we have? And this is based on the tasks that have the category of CRM. So just think of it in that way. Like, how would you ever want to slice this data in the future? There's kind of a reporting facet to it. So it's quite important in that sense.
Yeah, so in your case, maybe you would want to use it this way for like the branding, web, one-off retainers, and filter the information down this way. And then you have your bigger projects with flows, and then like your one-off project would just be like, say, the client name as a project with this category. Okay,
sorry to be difficult. I'm an engineer project manager and have about 15 minutes free each workday. Oh gosh, okay. So multitasking is mastering hours of the meeting. Love motion. Glad to hear. But yeah, to complete. Oh gosh, that's a lot. That's tough to be juggling it. We wish companies had like less meetings in a way. It sounds like you have a lot of meetings. Hoping that you can get more work done and less meetings over time.
Great, thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, let us know. Yep.
If you do have a lot of meetings, as a side note, there's a tool called TLDV that is the meeting recorder that we use, and it's great because it records the video and the audio and then like summarizes the meeting, and people can leave notes, and that's like really helpful. Like if Alex wants to do a meeting and I don't necessarily want to join, but then there's a part that he's like, hey, you should like really listen to this because we talked about some important parts, he'll like send me that part of the meeting as a clip. So just if your team is open to allowing you to have more focus work and just recording the meetings. We're very big on asynchronous work. Like honestly, we just think that so many meetings take up so much headspace and context switching.
That and Loom is another great one that we use quite often for async meetings, which obviously is a different thing as well.
But yeah, like our video editor is in Australia, our designers in Morocco. We try not to get on calls because it's so hard to coordinate the time. So we'll just record a Loom video for them and send it off. And then they record one back and we're having conversations. It's just asynchronous.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so questions probably, around did custom fields get released? I think this is in beta. It's coming out very soon. Like this is one of those things where flows and custom fields, if you don't have them yet, I will say that you can try writing to, I'll give you the email here, support@usemotion.com. I've heard people have luck with emailing that and saying, hey, we're a team. I would love to have early access to flows. And getting you on that. Same thing with custom fields. Clearly we have it. We're definitely in whatever beta side of things, but they're also adding other customers to beta. Like we're not anything special in that sense.
And I think they are prioritizing teams. So if you let them know you have like 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 or 20
I mean,
people,
don't lie. They can see.
Obviously.
But
that's going to get you onboarded probably faster, but it's coming across all accounts.
Cool.
Okay, do we have any other motion questions? Should we wait a moment this time before we jump into Superhuman?
You can start jumping in because I don't know if it's actually released yet. Or maybe, we can say that we can. Oh, no, we got access. Okay, cool. Yeah. Did you send this over?
Yeah, but you can archive it because I wanted to do it as an example for the search.
Okay, and it's not going to dox us.
It's a fake tracking number.
Got it. So the thing is, so one of the things that we wanted to show off actually is Superhuman and their new AI functionality. Actually, I wonder if I could just zoom this in a bit more. This might be more helpful to see. The thing is
Question about motion. Are you using Zapier with motion?
Okay, so we are.
Love integration questions. This guy is one of Zapier's biggest power users. So I will tell you, if you have integration questions, leave them in the comments. Don't email us directly though, because it goes to the depths.
I don't want to potentially derail things too much. I'm happy to go down this path a little bit though. So let me know, is there anything specific with Zapier that you are trying to understand or think through? Yes, we use Motion with Zapier, and we've built a pretty robust integration with it actually, with where our help desk, when we get new customer support tickets that come in, again, this is our legacy business, it will automatically create a task in Motion and put it on our calendar, so we actually know that there's a new ticket that's open. That was a custom integration that we had to build. I'm gonna jump in. I'm not sharing the screen right now because I'm gonna jump into Zapier just in case we want to like spin up a new thing or something of the sort. But happy to answer any questions if you have more clarification on what you're trying to do with Motion. But just give me one moment. Is there anything that you want to? I mean, we can keep an eye on if they add.
We'll explain the integration that we built. Oh, he said, I'm having issues for creating projects for client signups.
Okay, so having a project be created upon a client.
What are you trying to integrate in like your CRM, or what is the trigger that you're trying to use? So our automation, for example, is we use Help Scout for our help desk. So when someone writes in a support ticket to our help desk, then it automatically creates a task in motion for us to answer that support ticket. So it's so handy because wake up in the morning, go to my desk, and I see that there's, say, 1 or 2 support tickets on my calendar, and I'm like, cool, I need to prioritize those today because people are waiting for a response. And then I can just go to the help desk, mark it as closed, and then it updates as complete in motion. Okay, so Colin says, is there a way for templates trigger Shopify turned to a client?
Got it. Okay, so that is Motion API. So now we're getting into an area that is, so in terms of triggering templates, I've heard this come up before. It's definitely something that I know if they don't have yet, they're definitely working on this. I don't know if the native Zapier integration allows for it though. I think you need to go directly to the API if they do have it. I don't think that this is actually their API docs. Motion API docs. API docs. Is that actually it? No, REST API. This looks more like what I was expecting. Okay, so if we go to projects, create a project. Let me just see if they allow template. Due date, name, body, status, priority. Okay. Yeah, so I think this is one of those things where they do not allow you to select a project template yet. I will say probably the reason that they don't let you do a project template yet is because they're building flows, and that's going to be such a core thing. I think they're going to want to build out the API to work better with flows. So that's probably more the reasoning for that for now. Creating projects for client signups, like, is there a way for templates to trigger and Shopify to client? Also making checklists in the description of a task from Zapier. So if you were creating a task, let's say via, I could show this actually in Zapier. I was just gonna create Zaps and.
Will the checklist bubbles actually appear?
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's marked down, so motion. We can actually have the action. We can do it live. Let me just real quick jump here to see our faces because I just want to make sure no API keys are being shown. So we're going to create a task, connect account, and then I have the account. And then that has here, workspace ID. Just give me 1 second. Let's do this. Let's do growth. Task name, live test. I guess I can just show you this. That's probably fine. So you can see here, schedule, we're just gonna let's do work hours typically, duration. None of these are required. And then the description. So with motion, they do use a level of markdown. So my guess is I think you said sub lists. I think this possibly would allow it to be this. So task, or let's say sub task number 1, sub task number 2. Just for the heck of it, let's play with it and see if it even allows for this. Title test. I'm just gonna do it without the space. Title test. And then let's do this. Title test. Some of these are gonna work, some aren't. We're gonna do typical markdown fashion. This should be an unorganized list. List. Well, let's try one. List organized. And I think that's enough.
Just copy and paste it. You can put it in the chat if it works.
And then let's do one more. Underscore bold. All right, so we'll see what happens with this. I'm gonna create continue and let's test it. And so the task was created. Live test. Okay, so Interesting. I need to figure out what the markdown is for a bullet point. I'm sure. What's interesting is it's actually, because if you do this and space, it does it. It's typical markdown format though, so I'm definitely wondering, but you can see that bold is probably this. And yeah, I think we can ask the team, we can look into it. I'm sure there's a way to do it via the API, the same way that I was able to do a title like this. So also it seems you need to have the space in it for it to work. So this is an H2, and this is an H1, and subtask TBD on how to do that. But the rest of these should work. Item. So I'm just gonna throw this in chat here. TBD on the, that did not format that very well.
I figured that was going to be the case.
Subtasks, but hopefully that helps in terms of making the checklist and the description. I'll check with the team and ask them about that. And
where will we share the answer?
That is a really good question.
We will do a...
Did you know?
A YouTube community post.
Yeah, maybe something like that. Answering some of the questions.
Just check the community tab and we'll paste
efficient.
this in and over the next couple days when we hear back.
Pretty sure this should bring you to the community tab. Cool. Do we get into this? Yeah?
Yep. But yeah, if you have more questions.
Any more questions, feel free to shoot them over. And
okay. So Superhuman, if you haven't watched this video that Alex is going to drop the link for in the chat after this live, go and watch it. It is our... Do you want to drop the link for the YouTube video? The Superhuman YouTube video?
Which one? Okay.
Yeah. It is about the email software that we use. So this uses Google Workspace in the back end or Outlook. We're on Google Workspace and it's a layer on top and it just makes your going through your emails so much faster. It's also like just much more beautiful and minimal. You don't have like colors popping out at you. So that's like the quick 2-second pitch on what Superhuman is. But for those of you that are using it, a feature that is coming soon, Superhuman just announced it this week, is a really fun way to use AI. And we think this is one of the best implementations of AI that we've seen. And as a side note on that, with like every software out there that is implementing AI into their business and everybody absolutely loving AI, we love AI too, but we haven't seen a lot of software actually implement it in a way that's super useful. And a lot of software that we use, we actually don't find ourselves reaching for the AI component, but this Superhuman AI feature is actually really, really cool. What it does is instead of searching your email, and you know when you're looking for like a tracking code or like something specific, like an email from someone, and you're trying to remember the keyword of what was being said, and if you don't get that exact keyword right, you actually can't find the email. And like I've spent honestly like sometimes like half an hour, 45 minutes just searching through for a specific email, especially if it's an older email, to find that email. But now with this Ask AI feature, you can actually just write in natural language what your question is, and it will search through your emails and answer you like an assistant basically.
Okay, so you set me up with a tracking code. What are we gonna do here?
What do you mean? So this is not our, again, actual Superhuman account because we have a ton of emails in there, so we had to use a test account. But if you ask like, what is my tracking code? I didn't actually put for what it is, so.
Okay.
So it's going to search through your emails and then it's given me this tracking code. Now, if you ordered something specific, like you're like, I need my tracking code for my couch or whatever, you would ask that specifically and it would search for your emails and find that. Or if you need, flight information or any summary of several emails. So we got a bunch of emails from SaneBox actually in this email because we were evaluating the tool.
So you can see that it like also pulls in, I can click in the email, right?
It might show my email, but
okay.
Short of that, yeah.
So essentially it shows you the emails that exist and where it was referenced from. So it's nice because I think we even got to a level of realizing this is kind of ChatGPT and other stuff in the sidebar as well. So you can actually ask additional questions on that. We were doing it for some formatting and things like that, but what would be a way that you, when you're writing an email with someone, that you might be trying to pull in ChatGPT to help?
What do you mean?
Where
are you now showing the other feature that's...
Well, I'm just saying.
Anyone?
I'm just saying. No. I'm saying in a general sense. Like you can ask a question of like, what time is it in Australia? You can in a way search for your inbox, but you can also roll clock. Okay, so this
this is rogue.
No, it is. No, it's rogue. It's interesting because we were using. I was using it for formatting things. Because we had a bunch of countries, and I said, like, can you give me the full country code?
That was someone emailed us a list of country codes.
Yeah.
And then you said, what are the country codes from this email?
And then
it just told you the country codes.
And then I had them alphabetize them, and it did it.
I see.
Yeah. So just to say, there are other facets to this that you can kind of go further versus it just searching your email. It does do kind of a step further in this context, but it works better the more emails you have. Again, we don't have that many emails in this inbox as it's a test inbox.
So we have a bunch from Sanebox. So maybe ask a question like, summarize Sanebox emails, or like, what happened in my Sanebox email, or how much time did I save? Like, it's going to be something generic for demo purposes. And you probably wouldn't use it this way, but one way we use it is we get all of our analytics, our SEO analytics, going to our email that says like, this is how many website traffic visitors you had, etc. So we can ask it like questions about our analytics, and it will answer them specifically based on all the emails that we have. Yeah.
So the tough thing here is Sanebox is a tool that it kind of like goes through your email and does things. So it's almost summarizing a summary of a summary type of, like, it's like there's a lot of things going on where it's probably a bit overwhelming. The point is this would allow you to just summarize the emails that you have coming in. A lot of the emails that we have are fake emails. So it's tough to show this feature off in a really great way.
But we have a short. Did you put the short in the description?
I can post that right now.
Yeah, so if you watch that actually shows how we used it in a couple of cases that we just described, and then also Superhuman has an example as well on their Twitter, or I'm sure all their social channels, of how it works. But that should be coming soon. Like, we have it on our work account, we don't have it on our personal account. And what's funny is I got so used to using it on my work account for the few short days that I had it, and then I went in my personal email and I needed to find something, and I didn't have this AI search feature. I was like, oh my God, I feel like I just went back in time 5 years. Like, I was like, what? Now I have to look through my emails again. So it's been a funny place being between this new way of searching your emails and the old way. And I'm definitely excited to get it across all of our accounts.
Yep, I will. Okay, so I just had to find the short. And I'm posting that right here. Where's our short?
Okay. So if any of you are using Superhuman, let us know if you have any questions about anything related in terms of how we set it up. We went to the depths in our YouTube video to really show you like many use cases, the most common use cases, how we use it, etc.
And if you're not using Superhuman, you can get a free 30-day trial. I'll just throw that link in too, if you are tempted at all. Cool.
Yeah. And by the way, like when I shared this in the video, but basically I was like so against the idea of using Superhuman at first. I was like, I'm fine with Gmail. Like, and I would see Alex using it from the corner of my eye, and I'm like, oh, it looks like he's playing this like little fun video game when he's checking his emails. And then he said to me, like, you have to just try it. And at that point, they weren't offering a free trial. You like put your credit card in, you had to pay for the full month before you even logged into the software. And he's like, look, I will give you a refund on your first month if you don't like it. So I was like, okay, fine. And I started using it, and yeah, I've been using it ever since. Okay. So last little feature that we'll talk about with a different software. Again, if you have more questions about any software that's on our site, it's totally fair game. But a new feature that we've been loving is on Arc browser, which is the best browser out there right now. And this is totally free. So if you're not using it yet, Would highly recommend. I think it's better on Mac than Windows.
Yeah.
We use Mac, but I've seen some comments with some people saying Windows is not quite up to speed. But what's really cool is, so this is free. So like ChatGPT, I believe at this point, you still have to pay for a subscription for them to search the internet. Is that right? I don't know if they've released that
I'm
to
sure.
everybody. But if you have on your phone,
Here.
they have a feature called Call Arc. And it basically calls AI. You can also just raise the phone up to your ear and it will come on and it just says like, hey, let me do that again.
It's not going to come out of there because it's coming to my ear right now.
Oh, it's connected to your headphones?
Yeah.
Well, how am I going to show this? Okay. Give me a question to ask.
That's not the right one.
And then you just chat with it. So you can say, what are the best places for Mediterranean food in East Austin?
I've had a lot of stuff before it.
The best places for Mediterranean food in East Austin are Abba, Austin, and Abu Yusuf Mediterranean Food. Both offer delicious and authentic Mediterranean cuisine.
What should I order at Abba?
At Abba, try the brisket hummus or the crispy short rib hummus for a unique and delicious experience.
Done. I've actually had the brisket hummus at Abba, and it's very good. The only thing it got wrong is Abba's not in East Austin. It's just across the river in Austin. So anyways, the whole point with that is it's just like a fun little thing on your phone. Alex uses Android, so he doesn't have this, but they just released this, I think last Thursday, and I've been using it every day. It's just a really handy way to utilize AI. And what I like about it over ChatGPT at the moment anyway, is that when I ask ChatGPT questions, sometimes it gives me like very long answers and I have to like scroll and consider everything that it's saying. But I find that this Arc search feature is much more summarized, and it, like you saw, it just gave me like one sentence. And then I can go back and forth with it. And even last night I was watching a YouTube video and the YouTuber was using some terms I wasn't familiar with, and I was like, oh, I wonder what that is. And it was like so easy to just, you know, pop it open. I have like a widget on my phone that is a shortcut, and I just go Call Arc, and then it instantly is like, hey, and then I just go back and forth and chat with it, asking my questions, and it felt like a lot easier, even though ChatGPT is also easy and I have a shortcut for that. I think there's just a bit more loading time I'm finding.
Okay.
And this is more direct.
What other areas?
That's it.
That's everything.
That's it. I mean, we have been streaming for an hour and a half now.
Oh, I thought we were just starting. Okay.
Okay.
If anyone is still on the stream and like literally questions around Zapier, this is probably one of those times that I can show you a little bit, but also don't want to just dive into random stuff for no one.
Yeah, there was
questions
someone who
around-
asked about a Harvest Zapier integration, but I think if you're here and you want us to go through that, we can go through that. But I think if you're not here,
It's just too
It's
tough.
gonna
We
be
would just
too
be shooting at the wind.
in the depths of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is one of those times. And all right, well, we can show you, I don't know,
What do you-
our new website. No, but if you have any software questions on anything that we're talking about, we have categories of like top picks and for different categories, and we even recommend some software stacks, like if you're a small business or financial planner or anything of the sort. You can check those out, and we kind of go to the depths and recommend the different tools that you should use for different things. We're currently working on redesigning the site, but we're going to be we have discounts for all these apps as well. So for example, if you haven't signed up for Motion, but you want to give it a shot because you're interested by some of the flow stuff we were talking about, go to the site, make sure that you use our link here and put in your information, and we'll give you a course that we're building out right now for Motion. We'll give you that for free. Otherwise, it's a paid course. Similarly with other software like Copper, we have a $1,200 Copper course that we are giving away for free if you sign up with Copper through our link from the site. So if you click this link here, or if you get the discount there, you can do that as well. So that is that, and just trying to give people time. If anyone wants to say anything,
we can wait. Like
there are
maybe
8
5
people
minutes.
watching, so it's
And there's a slight delay, so we can wait.
Does anyone have any questions?
Do you know of any consultants pay for setup for motion?
So we don't really, at this current moment, of people that specialize in that. I would say, do you have?
How big is your team?
Yeah, how big is your team? Because we worked with people in general that have helped set up different project managers, and motion isn't too dissimilar in certain ways of how you'd set things up. Also, Ryan, like, this is the time where if you have any specific questions, okay, so courses, we're building one.
We're building one. How it's going to differ from our YouTube tutorial is our YouTube tutorial is very fast paced in a way. Like, I definitely encourage everyone to watch that and pause it along as you go. Our course is going to be talking through a bit more about how to think about your processes and go through this hierarchy stuff a bit more and give like examples of different industries. So we'll use your example in the course, to be totally honest. Like, we'll make note of it, of how you want to use motion. Typically, when we're thinking about processes, like, we go back and forth and we'll talk about it for a few hours before we land on the best path forward. So we want to give more of those examples in the courses, or in the course that we're setting up.
Yeah, so this is the video that she's talking about, which we tried showing like how to go from.
This was supposed to be like an 8 to 10 minute video. Like, that was what our initial intention was, and it turned into an 18-minute video, and it had to be that way, I think.
Yeah, so we do show you to some extent how to set certain things up, and I think just some of it is extrapolating out the way that this is versus what you need. But yeah, again, okay, so 2 people.
Yeah, 2 people, yeah.
Yeah.
A course would probably be better for you. When you get into consultants, they typically have like, it gets quite expensive. But then tension is with our content and with the course that we're releasing, it's to take you through it, to basically, so you can just like follow along and pause and set it up. It might not be like 100% of how you need in your business, but like, we're trying to get you to like 80%, and at least to start using it for a few months, and then you can start tweaking it from there. So that's our goal.
Yeah. So, but here's the time, Ryan, like, genuinely, if you're here and if you have any, just if you want to see even just brainstorm a couple things, it's like either this or we just kind of end the stream. So it's like, if we can give any amount of value.
If you want to take a screenshot of your Motion account and you can upload the URL here,
yeah,
happy to look at it as well, like how you currently have your workspaces set up.
We're even potentially, and depending on how you feel about this, we have to mess with things a little bit, but if you wanted to jump into a Google Meet and do a live workshop, we can also do that. Also totally understand if you don't feel comfortable doing that. But it is content, and it would help others, I'm sure. So.
And yeah, we didn't allocate a specific time for this. We basically were like, we'll just stream as long as people have questions.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we have 0.3% of dropped frames, whatever that means. No.
I don't know what that
Good
means.
work. No. Yeah, so I think that is everything. Maybe you want to talk about what we have planned, or is that giving?
I don't mind.
Okay.
So the videos that you're going to see coming up on our channel.
Oh, they're game for a Google Meet. Okay.
Okay. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Well, while you set it up, I'll talk about it.
Yeah.
So the content that we have coming up, the next video that's going to be released is one about social media scheduling. We tested a bunch of tools for posting content. It was a video that we never even wanted to make, to be totally honest, but when we started doing content and we had quite a few shorts to post, I was posting it manually every day, and that got exhausting, and then I wanted a way to just use a tool to schedule. And went off and tested a bunch of tools, and spoiler, a lot of them are really not that helpful. So we wanted to make a video to basically summarize our learnings and tell you what we ended up doing and the process we ended up using. And it's definitely not, I'll spoil the video, it's not like, here's a tool that like solved everything and it's like amazing and great. It's more like we took a little bit of using this tool and a little bit of this tool and a little bit of posting directly to YouTube, etc. So that's the next video that's coming out. Should be released maybe in the next week and a half. And then we have a video we're working on of the best about the best calendar app for 2024, and we're going to be covering some free calendar apps all the way to like the highest end, which we consider to be Motion, because you can do like full project and task management, but some people just want like a better calendar than Google and Outlook, and there's definitely a lot of better options. You can look at our website as well on the calendar page to see what those are. And then we're also going to do a video about task management, so not as extensive as project management, but more like for people who just want to manage tasks, and you can do some of that in some of the calendar apps. And then you have like your daily planner category. We're in a really interesting time because there's a lot of overlap with a bunch of these tools. So I think a lot of people get confused because they're like, well, I want a way to like manage my tasks, but really like the most modern way to do that now is through using a daily planner that time blocks tasks on your calendar. We have a video about daily planning already, and our recommendations are to use obviously Motion or Sansama if you're somebody who's coming over from like a pen and paper planner, AkiFlow if you want like task consolidation if you're already using another project management tool, or Routine is like more for personal use, but there's others out there as well. And then we have another video that we're planning about our business bank, which is Mercury. And we really love Mercury, so we wanted to do a dedicated video on that. And Mercury's free to use as well. We try to mix like some paid tools and then like some free amazing tools as well. But if you have any requests at any point, let us know as well.
So if you want to join, I just sent over the Google Meet and we can give this a shot. And so Ryan, what I am going to say though is there's going to be like some echoing and stuff until things are figured out. So I'm going to accept this. Let me just think for a quick mental second of what's going to happen here. So you hear our microphone, and then if you talk, I don't know if it's going to echo. Can you connect this to your computer just so we can hear what's about to happen? So, because if we have audio coming out, I just want to make sure that it's not doing an echo thing. Or we just need to put earbuds in actually. I think we need to actually put earbuds in to hear Ryan.
I can't even hear anything with this.
That's fine, I don't think it's connected here. And then if I do this, so, oh, a couple of people joining.
Oh,
okay.
Fun, okay.
So we're gonna need this going. This is gonna be an interesting test, and then we're gonna have to literally have the audio. We're gonna have to have this playing it live. Yeah, this is where, like, ideally, if we can get one of your earbuds tied to this, because we do just need to know what this is gonna sound like. So we're gonna admit all. Might have to mute ourselves. Hello, hello.
Check, check. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
I can hear you. Hello.
Hello, hello.
So
Hi.
what I just want to check is the to make sure the live stream's okay, where they can hear you and they can hear us. So, let's just talk real quick, and then we're gonna pause, and then we'll kind of listen to the live stream. So, hello Ryan and hello Kaylee. Is that correct?
Kaylee, yep.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Hey, thank
Are you a part of the same team?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Awesome.
easy. Okay.
Okay, very cool. Okay, so I'm just gonna pause this for a second. Or mute here 1 second. Then we're just gonna listen.
I closed the live stream.
Is any audio? Do you have the earbud in for that? You have this in the wrong ear. For this. Do you hear anything?
We're not. Yeah, we can
You hear them
Yeah.
and you hear us.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I mean, let me just hear real quick though.
Okay, Bob said it checks out.
Oh, cool. All right. So, we don't need this playing anymore, and this goes in your right ear. Okay.
Okay.
All right. It seems like the stream's a little bit choppy, but we can try anyway, and we should be good.
We could turn off our cameras too, if that might make it a little better.
I think it's okay. You could probably leave them.
Okay.
On. It'll be more immersive anyway. Okay. So let's talk through. How long have you been using Motion for?
We're
found it
literally
yesterday.
researching it. So we've only used Notion, and that was becoming like a huge issue of it does everything but not anything. And so this has been like we're researching it, and today was actually blocked off to like start making some migrations.
Oh, amazing. Okay.
We've used, I would say, maybe 5 different types of project management tools over the years. And so this is definitely the most exciting one, but we're trying to figure out how do we, blend what we've always done and find ways to do it better.
Okay. And then, so what type of work is this? I'm trying to remember, is this the web develop or the branding and web development? Okay.
Yep.
So
are you open-ish screen sharing how you're using Notion at all?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Because that's actually helpful. And yeah, your sentiment rings true. We've heard this for many, many years. With Notion, you're basically just building your own system from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
There's no guardrails, and it's just very difficult to stay on top of. Like, you might like the process that you built for a week, and then you're trying to train somebody else, and it's like there's no manual, and you're both doing different things, and it falls apart.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
Yeah. Where are you both based? Oh, nice.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we're in Austin.
We're in Austin, yeah.
But he grew up in Buffalo, New York. I grew up in Canada. Okay. So just reading through it now.
Discovery
so
call.
You have your
makes sense.
milestones: copy, writing, marketing, consulting, business coaching. These are team members. Okay. And then if you scroll down a little bit to project Gantt charts. So Motion, I'll mention, doesn't have Gantt charts yet, but it is coming soon. Will be released soon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so this is very processized. Like I say like flows feels like it would be the best use case for flows. And then I imagine like under style boards you have subtasks under that, and all of these have subtasks.
Going into using this at all, because our style boards will say like, okay, we need, a chunk of time to work on those. And generally we're blocking things by, the days of the week, not necessarily the hours in the day, if that makes sense.
Okay, so if you have a new client and you need to do a style board, are you saying that there's no like start and finish for that?
There definitely is, but I would say that our time, like we would set, um, um, so we would definitely have like we would have a discovery meeting with them, and we do a whole interactive meeting where we're gathering information. But then the style boards ourselves, we would do like a day of gathering information and sorting it through, and then like another day of actually presenting those and organizing them. And we could subtask that down into gathering versus um, organizing. But typically, we just say, "Oh, that week we are going to be working on style boards," and we know that it's going to be about 2 days. And there's things I think Ryan was mentioning. There's like spreadable versus non-spreadable, where we could be interrupted in those flows. Versus, does that make sense?
Yeah, like you can chunk tasks. So say you say
Chunks, yeah,
something
chunks.
takes 16 hours. You can say I want to
Yeah.
chunk it by 4 hours at a time.
Yes.
And then yeah, like you can do it I guess both ways. Like if you don't want it to say, like we prefer in our process, like we would have a gathering, in our words it would be like research, and then it would be like putting it together, and then it would be like reviewing it internally. We would put that as 3 different steps in the flow, and then probably add another one presenting, or just leave that as a meeting actually. And then so you can do it that way, or if you feel that's too rigid, you can just do one like style board and make it a longer task that's like 10 hours
Okay.
and chunk it down. Because at the end of the day, it's like, even if you're assigning general, like we know we have to do this week, what we find is like you still have to work on that for say 4 hours on a given day. And with motion, like they're auto scheduling tasks, and sometimes it doesn't get it right. Like it's going to put it on your day to work on tomorrow, but you would just like right click and say start task now, and then it will bring it to your calendar and rearrange everything else around it, which is sometimes what you have to do as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, that makes. Let me
Yeah.
I'll just go ahead and bring this up. It's still in the early phases, so it's not even asking. I'll just bring this where we're at right now.
Oh, you're like
we have-
onboarding.
We're like
yeah,
onboarding.
yeah. We haven't like bit the bullet yet.
Okay. Yeah.
Because we wanted to
this-
make sure it can kind of do everything, or not everything, but as much as we really wanted to before we bit the bullet. But
Yeah.
we're going to do it anyway. But
Okay. So this is you're setting up a free trial now.
Right.
Okay. So you can probably, this is just like the onboarding. Yeah. Would just do an example.
Yeah, because we're
This
probably
is-
we're gonna
yeah,
we're gonna
we're gonna tell you
be
to do it
setting it up
differently.
like totally differently. So I think just throwing in like one
just
just to
tests,
get
yeah.
through. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So you don't need any more than that. Just the one that you have, it should be good. It's just like let's work through. Here I will hide. Never mind.
Oh, wait.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So there's a bit of setup here.
We haven't gone through this process, obviously, and we signed up in 2020.
Well, actually, we can.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay.
oh, sorry. Yeah, we should
Your
have done all this
service.
beforehand. Sorry.
Oh no, it's
Don't
fine.
worry.
It's also it's funny. They throw you into a bit of a quiz here, but
This is interesting for
Yeah.
us to see because we haven't seen
so
it
you
in a while.
use Notion, and is that the only thing that you've used?
We use HoneyBook too.
We use HoneyBook for all of our intake forms and for all of our proposals.
Okay,
We've used all of these, but we're not currently. So
got it. Okay,
We like light mode.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. So if you go to the gear icon, yeah. And then, oh, I guess you don't have a workspace. Yeah. So
Yeah,
go
so
to
in
add
in the bottom
workspace.
left. Oh, do they have flows?
Oh, you might not have flows yet. Okay,
Yeah,
let's
I'll
just
check.
try.
We'll check real quick. But yeah, so we would probably create a workspace for something like customers or clients, rather, whatever I guess the terminology is, that you'd use?
Yeah,
for
would
that?
this be like a general projects workspace, or would this be like an individual client?
So, okay, you're not going to want to create a workspace for each individual client because the flows and every structured data point of from statuses to templated tasks and projects are going to be done at the workspace level. So you'd have to keep repeating that over and over and over for each workspace. So you do want to just have a general client's workspace because you're going to be building so much process into this workspace. So, and so I guess the thing is you probably would even have legacy projects in here as well. So we
Okay.
probably more so go like the top level.
I would call it like literally customers because projects
Clients,
is
yeah.
or clients because
However-
projects is what like Motion uses as a term. Yeah.
Yeah.
Clients.
Okay.
Can save that, and let's just see real quick from the.
Doesn't look like flows.
Does not look like flows is in. Let me message the team real quick. There's probably a very unlikely chance that this would happen.
It's okay.
Should we? I mean, we can also share
Show you on
our
our
screen
account.
and show
Yeah,
you, and you can
yeah.
maybe just mirror. Yeah, maybe that's honestly easier. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay, so we can go through here, and if you go to so in this case, if you go to the live stream, actually, you should be able to, or is that going to be? You're going to hear the audio.
It's a little delayed. But...
Yeah, so it'd be a bit delayed, but at least you would see. I'm
We
just.
should still be able to talk to them.
Yeah, we can still talk to you live. It's just the problem is if we share our screen, there's probably
Yeah,
going
no,
to
that's
be
fine.
some
That's fine.
issues with that.
Kayla, you're just gonna have to mute your YouTube live stream.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, let's just make this a bit smaller. Actually, here. Thank you for bearing with us, by the way.
Oh no, it's fine.
Oh, thank you for doing
We were
this. This is
excited, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Love
cool.
to be a guinea pig.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go through and kind of just do the same thing. So we have a customer space and we can go in here and we can kind of just treat it like that. So should we go through like one of their processes
Yeah.
and kind of just go through them?
But I would actually use the template as a
starting place?
I mean, that's what we did.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we can.
We typically let's just go with the template and then we just edit it for
Yeah.
ourselves.
So let's just start. So kind of just mirror what we're doing. We'll tell you right now. We went into. Oh wait, you can't. Sorry, you can't do this. So you can watch this later. Okay, I
You
keep
can watch this
forgetting.
later. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
no, it's
follow
fine.
along. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
it's
you're fine.
gonna be live for at least a couple days and whatever.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna go into client services. So I guess really you're hearing us, and then you're gonna see it. And to remember, what are the different processes? What is it? Which one of the processes would be? Actually, I think what is your most common process? Is it the one-off project? Is it
Yeah.
the branding, the web development?
Let's do branding. That one's the most
Okay.
solidified. Like we know that one inside and out. So
Okay,
and it's got the
perfect.
least amount. So let's do that one.
Okay, so we're gonna leave this stuff kind of blank for now. Like we're gonna have the title in as branding and the description detail. This would be at the project level. So that is, what are some examples where we do that? Like if we're referencing some documentation in Slate, or you can say Notion, like you may certain areas still use a knowledge base. Like a knowledge base still makes sense. You can use Motion in a way as your knowledge base and work through projects, but you might have some internal resources and stuff that you might reference. That's maybe where you throw some links in, or maybe just some top level.
Like wait, off your do you give your clients like a questionnaire at all? Like send us like the branding
Yeah.
styles that you like. We just went through this with someone else. I mean, we were the customer and they sent their branding questionnaire.
Nice.
So you can link that here. And do you have that in Notion?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can put your.
It's more of an interactive meeting that we do all of that
Okay.
brand.
Yeah, we
questioning.
typically. I was gonna say the stuff's typically in Figma. We do a lot of like
Perfect.
Fig Jam stuff where we're
Okay.
Oh,
bringing
amazing.
people in and they're able to move stuff around. But we do like afterwards we'll do write ups of, hey, here's what we're actually going for. And if they've sent us stuff beforehand, obviously it'd be great to be able to have one place where that all is.
Yeah. So I would do like You can put just like headers there, like Figma, and then like client inspo. This is obviously example, you can adapt it. And then you like have a colon, so you know that's where your like URL goes, and you're just gonna replace this once the project is created. Like we use Slite for our knowledge base, and for our video, for example, we have our script in Slite, so I have like script, and then I know I'll always put the link in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is general customer assets for
Yeah.
this entire project. Okay.
Yeah. So we can continue to get more into this. So it's probably going to look a little bit overwhelming in the first when you use a template because there's a lot of things going on. But I think from a top level, like what are important facets to the project? I'm guessing the client name. I don't know if you have like a PO code, like a short name code that you use for customers, or what? I guess
No, not typically, but we would do like I think specifically within branding, we would have like we have full identity foundations versus like refreshes versus like supplementation. So we have different levels of branding packages that could make sense there.
Okay.
I think that's more like the category stuff we were talking about.
It would be the project category, or you could do project category, unless you want each. So this is something that maybe in each task you would want it to visually show in the name, for example. So what we'll typically do is, if it's so we're gonna have different tasks on our calendar, and to quickly glimpse through them and this is for this customer, it's just helpful to know from a skimmability perspective. If you are, for example, tracking time, then it is also kind of the task name is a good area for that to be thrown into. But
Okay.
So
yeah, typically we would just use the client name, like the company name. Maybe they would have an acronym, but honestly, in Notion we use emojis mostly.
Okay.
But
okay, sorry,
Okay.
it's
He's
more
just fixing something with the stream.
Yeah, the
Okay.
frames are just dropping, so I actually want to try hiding our webcam and just see if this
yeah, we can.
improves a little bit. Just because you're going to be rewatching it, so
Yeah.
let's go here. Let's say this. Consider turning down video settings. That would be helpful to know how that is. Okay, this should be okay. We'll see if that helps it at all. Okay, so let's start with client, or the first part. So where do you start this project off? So first of all, are you using like a CRM or something, which is like for the sales perspective? And when are you expecting to put it into a project management tool?
Honeybook does a lot of that. So Honeybook is where we have our intake form on our site, and all of our proposals and invoices are handled through that. And it also has a lead tracking system built in.
Okay.
Yeah, once we usually get the the invoice paid and stuff, then we would typically jump it over into Notion, and then you would use it as a imported there. We would only use Honeybook as an intake.
Okay.
Of a
So is
client
the
and
first
inquiries and stuff.
big step that style? I forget what it's called, like style
Board,
reporting?
yeah, style board, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
So,
the first touchstone would be the discovery call. We have a
Yeah.
discovery call with them, but that's not
okay, so that would be a meeting though. And do
Yeah,
you need to do any prep for that, or do you need to do anything after that?
no.
No,
Okay.
typically it's like an inquiry or like a sales call or a discovery call. But if it's a good fit, then yeah, Kaylee and I will say in the meeting like we're gonna send a proposal, or if it's not a good fit, we'll send an email after and kind of explain like, hey, thanks but no thanks, or like
Well,
depending
that would
on
be
what-
before the discovery call. The discovery call is already paid, and it's
Yeah.
it's just an intake meeting. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
A kickoff call.
So I think that this stage then we could call it style boarding. So instead of
Mhm.
client onboarding.
Boarding?
Yes. DING. Yeah.
Okay.
And then how long will that take business days wise? Did you say 2 days?
So there are turnaround times. Are you talking about like physical, like for our calendar?
Yeah, like in terms, it says expected duration. Like how long do you expect to be working on everything
Yeah.
to do with style boarding?
That would include turnaround times, everything. So if you need to work on it for 2 days and then you need to send it off for feedback, and typically that takes a day or two, and then you have to make some tweaks, that could be 5-6 days, even if it really takes 2 days of work that you need to do.
Okay. Let's say I think this is definitely where we're getting stuck. So that's really good that we're going over it. I would say that it's 2 days of labor from our perspective, and then they are given a week of review time, but that typically is more we do have after the discovery meeting, after the discovery call, there is a 2-week turnaround for when we will then be presenting them the style boards.
Okay.
Um,
So do you typically send it off and then they have a week to review it and then you have to incorporate their edits into the style board?
Yeah, generally we don't do another style board. So they do get 2 weeks to review and send back feedback, but it's to prompt the next step, which would be logo concepts. So we take the feedback from the style boards and apply it to the next step.
Okay, so I would probably do this. This is like, we can tweak it as we go along, but I would put the expected duration of this entire stage as 2 weeks.
Okay.
So you also start seeing here, like what we even saw is like how long it actually takes to get through everything. Because mentally it's like we tell ourselves 2 days, but then it's like, yeah, by the time it comes back, it's like much longer. So 14 days, and then let's try doing it this way. So what's like the first, if we were to break these up, or did you have any preference when we were talking it earlier? Like, are you open to breaking it up, or do you prefer it as one large?
Yeah, no, we can break it up. I think that makes sense.
Okay, so what's the first
I would say that the first subtask would be gathering inspiration. So gather inspo.
And how long will that take?
That's, I would say that's a day. So
A day.
Interesting. Okay, so
we could put 6 hours.
Okay. Let's do 6 hours. And so this is where you can get as granular as you'd like or not. Like, do you want to get into the point of adding in subtasks to this task, or is it just you know what you need to do when you're gathering
Yeah,
inspo?
we know.
Yeah, we know.
So as an example, this might connect with anyone else, or if you're trying to scale, like we build this out and we think about it. If it wasn't me that's doing it, what would I put in there? So I would put like maybe like check interest, check Pinterest, check YouTube, like any prompts that you know mentally that you do, put them in here, because then if you ever do want to bring someone on to take over this piece, it's already documented. So just some food for thought. I always try to build it out as it's not for me and it's for somebody else. But okay, for this case, let's leave it blank because we get the idea. And then when you
actually we do need to just do the top level roles.
Oh, right. Okay.
So let's think. So while it's just the two of you, it's the same thinking. We're building out processes for departments in a sense. So it's a bit silly for us as well, where I think Andra has one for talent and project manager, and it's like it's Andra and it's Andra. But for you, it sounds like what would the roles be? Typically, project manager is a good role to have because it's just someone that is in charge with kind of moving the project forward. But what would be maybe some good role names be? Because we're going to be reusing those across the board. I think you might hire another employee that does that role.
Yeah, I think we've kind of fallen into the roles of direction versus design. And so even though we're both in there designing, gathering, adding, I think that there's a, okay, what's the direction? Here's the way we're going to go about this. So like a creative director, and then the actual like implementation of that.
Okay, so director, designer, we need to add a designer separate.
Yeah, creative director, designer.
Does project manager help at all? Like think about like who's responsible on making sure the client's actually provided feedback.
Yes. Yeah.
That one's a good one too.
Okay.
Like almost like I feel like there might even be a distinction between project manager and client liaison. So like who is actually sending this back and talking to the client versus who's deciding what we're doing that week. I think that's hopefully Motion will be the new project manager, but
Yeah,
there's definitely been a lot.
It sounds like similar because in terms of this is going to be laid out as a process. So in terms of what happens next, you're kind of telling this now, and then the client liaison. Like I look at project manager as like I'm just seeing like keeping an eye on how the project's doing overall, and also like poking people that need to be poked, which is communication as well. Mm-hmm. So I'd say let's get rid of finance. And okay, jumping back in, are there any other roles that you think would be necessary? And maybe they'll come up later and we could just add them in.
From a finance perspective, I was going to say, Ryan, like there is a level of like having to check back in on invoices. That's not connected to branding so much as it is if we have people who will do, sometimes we'll do, I would say 99% of the time we have auto payments, payment plan, that kind of thing. But sometimes we have invoices we have to chase. I don't know if that's worth putting in there or not. But otherwise, that's the list.
I wouldn't put it in here. We have a recurring task on the 1st of every month to do admin, and that's like a 3-hour task where we're going in and like checking off any invoices who hasn't paid us.
I guess what is there a process in that? Is it like at a certain stage, and sometimes it could be 50% up front and then 50%?
That's how we do it. 50% up front, 50% at the end. So typically I'll double check once the project is, done. I'll kind of like, or time to take the second payment or whatever.
I can see at the end.
If you're doing it that structured and there's no ongoing payments, like regular ongoing payments. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Well, then it is probably, you're right. It's part of the process.
So if
it's anything more than that, it has to be automated. That's one of our requirements. So if they want to do a more spread out payment structure, it has to be an auto. But if they're doing deposit style, then we have to do it manually.
So we could just do finance, billing, whatever, something of the sort. You're essentially going to have a task at the beginning, maybe even before it starts in motion, you're going to be sending this off as part of that process, and then at the end of it, I'll add a little asterisk closure. I'm just going to add a task here, and we'll deal with it later, and just say bill for final half, and we can figure that out later. Okay, so let's get into the style boarding.
Gather inspo,
6 hours. That is going to be, who's going to be the one that is doing that? Is that the creative director or the designer?
Both. Okay. Yeah. So I would say that if we wanted to get more granular, I guess there was another subtask we could add of like, we could gather the inspiration. Mm-hmm. And then there's a subtask of determine the 3 directions. And that's definitely like the director going in and looking at what we've gathered so far and determining where are we going to take this and kind of solidifying the 3.
So let's think about one task per person in that sense then. Yeah. So it sounds like the designer has one role. They need to get some inspo, and then the creative director helps determine the 3 paths from that. Is that accurate?
Yeah, perfect.
And can the creative director not get started until the designer is done, or is it done in conjunction?
I mean, right now it's both. We're doing it simultaneously. I would say that the defining the directions happens let me think about this. I would say that there's an initial task of gathering inspiration, then there's a task of defining the directions, mm-hmm. and then there is a third task of fleshing out, like, okay, we've defined the direction, now we need to go and find more stuff that
fits that
can
style.
give can really fully express that direction. So gather inspo, define direction, and then
Create the asset.
supplement.
The
Yeah,
board.
supplement or
Asset creation or create
Yeah.
asset.
Yeah. Asset
create.
creation.
so it would go designer would be gathering the inspo,
Yeah.
director would be defining the directions, and then designer would be the last one.
Okay, and then how about how many hours would you say gather inspos versus define direction? Because it sounds like those were chunked together before, so it was like 3 and 3, or
I would probably say like honestly, I would say more like 4 hours for gathering inspiration,
okay,
and then I would say half an hour, maybe an hour for define direction, and then,
And then the
a
last
final
hour.
hour for
asset creation.
final assets or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then is that for the style boarding phase? Like, is there anything a final one like I don't know? Are you scheduling a call with?
Well, I
the
would say
person, or-
there is a one more where the director comes back in and actually creates the presentation, like creates the slides.
okay.
So
Slide.
and there's
creation
usually
or
some sort of write up. Yeah.
Create
Yeah.
presentation, and then and then how long would the presentation take? Like 1-2 hours, maybe 45 minutes?
Yeah, I would say 2
An hour and
hours.
a half.
2 hours.
An hour.
Yeah, 2 hours.
Okay. I'm just gonna double everything you're saying, so I'm gonna say it's taking 4 hours. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Everything takes
Yeah.
longer,
That's,
twice as long.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah,
when
it
you're
definitely
Oh, this is
presenting
so
earlier.
interesting to ask these questions. Now I'm very excited to go through because I've always just done these as, oh, and we've got 2 days to work on style boards, and I'm like, you know what? Actually, when I'm thinking about it, they can be made
Yeah.
into smaller chunks than that. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's helpful when you start think like we're the biggest thing for us. Like you should have seen. I was a 1-person business 9 years ago, and I would still separate my own roles into different departments to the point where our help desk would have billing and invoicing and support and all these different hats, and it was just me. But I'm building it as if we were a 50-person company because that's
Yeah,
what we were
that's
doing
really
for
smart.
customers. So. It's a bit weird to think of it, but like, what is your role? You're wearing all the hats, but what actually is your role, and how do you split this up?
And always thinking like,
Right.
who's actually the lead on this? Because when it's just two, it's easy to go, well, we both do it, but it's
Yes.
like, well, who's the one who's leading this?
Yeah.
Who's like
yes,
the more accountable person for this piece? And then you're going to work on it together, but then it might pass on and someone else is more accountable for the next
Right.
phase.
So I will say right now, the tag section, we're just gonna let this go in the moment. They're gonna be building out categories, not categories, custom fields into here, and I would recommend using those more so versus getting to the depths of this, because at some point they may roll this in and turn them into custom fields. So don't worry too much about that right now. But let's get into dependencies to kind of like close this part out. So gathering inspo and define direction, like can those happen in conjunction, or can the creative director not actually move forward until the designer has gathered inspo?
I would say that in practice, it's definitely more organic, but I would say that typically, yes, the gathered inspo needs to happen first. So yes, I would say that defining the directions is dependent on gathering the inspiration.
Okay. So let's say, I think
Yeah,
that's
honestly,
probably
all of these I would say are dependent on each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Which is normal.
That makes sense.
And then let's say, so asset creation can't be done until defined direction is completed.
Yeah.
Okay. And then let's say that create presentation doesn't work until asset creation is completed.
Yep.
The only other thing here that I want to talk through is, so you said you send this off and then you're waiting for the client to respond.
Yeah.
I
That's the only part of
wonder-
our like processes that we don't have it down to like a fixed day or anything. That's kind of our loop.
Yeah.
I would say that style boards happen kind of in the moment, like when we have the meeting. There's generally a pretty immediate response to one or the other. But for the sake of conversation, like other parts of this are not that way. We are sending stuff off. They are sitting on it. They are talking to other people and getting back to us later. And so, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So one way that we can do this, curious to hear your thoughts as well, is you have another task that is like incorporate client feedback. And then that will be auto scheduled on your calendar. But if you haven't gotten a response back, you move the start date. So it's kind of like a reminder for yourself, like they haven't responded, I can't do this. It might show up on your calendar on a Monday. You might change the start date to a Friday and you go, that's gonna pop on my calendar again on Friday. And if they still haven't responded, it could also work as like a little reminder to check in with them.
Yeah.
So it's
I
more
love
of
that.
like an active task.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Great client feedback. And then this would be assigned to, in a sense, I would think the project manager.
Project
like-
manager.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Project manager.
Okay. And you can't do this until the presentation is done, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. And then is there anything around from, high, medium, low priority, just to understand the purpose behind them? If something is high priority, it's going to essentially put it on your calendar as a higher priority. So let's say, for example, you just have a random task in the middle of your day and it's a medium task because it's just whatever. If we also have these set to medium, which all these are set to medium currently, it's going to not really say that it should do this one over that. Like, is this of a higher importance than your average tasks, or is it of a lower importance, or is it just of average importance? And would it be all the same, or some tasks are more than less?
I would say that once inspiration has been gathered, it becomes more important for us to actually define and so I would say that the highest priority would be define the directions.
Okay.
If I'm thinking through anywhere within those 2 weeks, we can start gathering inspiration. But then once we say like, okay, yeah, now we've gathered this, then I think it becomes really important for us to define the directions. And so does that make sense? Is that
Yep.
what you're
Yeah.
asking?
And what about asset creation? Would you say that's also high once the direction is defined?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's kind of
High.
the project just kicks into high gear. Like it is.
Well, incorporate client feedback. Would you say that's
Oh,
more
sorry.
medium? Because that's like dependent on the client.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So I think
Honestly, that one sounds even like it could be low. If I don't know if they have a low, but
They
just
do, but
because-
it kind of is like schedules it on your, I don't remember the exact time frame, but it says like in the next like month or two.
no.
Oh, okay.
No. It's just keep in mind that if you can have 30 tasks that are just of medium importance, and it's going to put this behind all of it, where obviously it takes the deadline into consideration and things like that. So I think that's
I would
fair.
say that yeah, the feedback one feels very passive. So if low makes it below any of the like active tasks that we're having to do.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can always change this. Like the thing is, if it's not scheduling the way that you were hoping that it would, you can just go in and change how that is.
Yeah.
So then let's go into kind of the next stage. So style boarding is done. Then we're essentially going to roll into, so that, let's say that took 14 business days, or actually we said 14 business days, but shouldn't it be, that'd be 10 business days, 2 weeks would be Monday through Friday, twice?
Right.
Yeah,
10
yeah,
business
yeah.
days. Yeah.
Okay, 10 business days.
Yep.
And then let's go into project planning. Okay,
Which,
what do we
would
want to
be
call
the next
this?
stage
Yeah.
for you?
Yeah. The next stage is logo concepts, and that's also going to be 10 business days.
Okay. 10 business days. One thing that I will say that we have it set up right now where auto advance after all tasks are done. So the way that this is going to work is once the incorporate client feedback happens, it's just going to immediately move it to the next stage and then kind of show everything. Is that fine, or would you want
That's
it to be
perfect, actually, because we've been talking about how to move into next stages, and I think we have been kind of working on an approval-based trigger, and so having that feedback in there lets us know, like, hey, they haven't gotten back to us yet, or telling them, like, hey, it's 2 weeks from your approval is when the next thing starts. So I think that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So logo concepts, it's got to auto advance in, and then like, what is the first step that comes in when you're doing logo concepts? So you just incorporated client feedback, and I'm guessing it is now probably the designer or the creative director having to jump into gear.
I would say that the first one is probably the director, and this one is more starting with kind of defining directions. Whereas before we have to kind of gather stuff for first. Now that we know the style board and we know the feedback, there's a defining again, like what are the directions, what are the things we're wanting to explore. So there's another task of maybe, I don't know if we want to say directions
It's
again,
kind of like
but
a
defining the
brainstorm.
concept.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
like brainstorming with like, okay, taking the one style board and all right, we got to flesh out 3 concepts of this. All right, for the first one, we're going to take, this pattern with this, and then that's going to be one concept, and the second one's going to be this. So it's kind of a creative
Design,
meeting.
Brainstorm.
Yeah, design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then how long does that typically take? 2-3 hours?
Yeah, an hour and a half, 2 hours probably.
Okay. Let's do 2 hours. And then I guess just there's a level where it wouldn't be surprising if all of these kind of kick into high priority in a sense, because I'm assuming like the client is paid and you really probably just need to get this done. So should I just assume high priority and we can say lower if something comes up where like it's just not as high?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say that definitely once the style board process is over, that's when it's really kicked in for us. Of we're doing a lot of gathering and question asking at the beginning, and now it's like, okay, now we've got a direction. We know what you want here. So yes, I agree with that.
Okay. So design brainstorm, and then we're going to move on to what's next.
The next steps I would say are
And creating the logos.
yeah, creating the concepts. So I would say there's probably another 6-hour step of maybe we could say a 4-hour step of I want to say like we have like concept boards that we begin with, and so we're creating we're creating the designs that are going with these different concept boards.
So who's doing? Would that be the designer or the creative director?
That would be designer.
Both, but yeah, designer.
Who's the lead on it? Like, is it like a draft first? Someone starts with it.
I mean,
This
we
is
do
where
everything together, but we have like I might be a creative director on one project if I'm feeling really connected to the project, and Kaylee might feel connected to a project, so she takes design lead. But
Okay.
I like what you said earlier is that, I mean, if we do hire a designer underneath us, then technically Kaylee and I would be the director, and we would jump in and.
Well, I would say in this instance, we both put on
designer
director, designer hats. But yes, this is where designer is working now.
Should we call it like create initial concepts? Because it's like
Yes,
maybe one of
that's
you will
perfect.
like go away and work on it for 4 hours, and then it's like cool. Like now let's do it together. So
That's exactly what it is. Create initial concepts. Yeah.
okay, and then the next step, would that be like
The next step
refine, or-
would yes, exactly. The next step would be the director coming in, and we would define, refine. And I would say at that stage we're refining, and then there's another stage after that of expanding. So once we have those initial concepts and refining them, then we expand them across, and that's where we would be creating patterns or mock-ups, or now that we've defined, create the initial concepts, refine them, and then expand.
We joined the call in not a professional.
No.
So it's going to kick us out in 15 minutes, but I think we can.
I was gonna say
that's fine.
this is exactly what we needed to hear, like how this is set up. So can you tell me a little bit more about what you're doing right now? Is this flows or is this okay?
But
Okay,
what
so
we
this
can
isn't
do
available yet.
is Do we have your email? Can you put it in the Google Meet so it just goes to us?
Yeah.
And we can try messaging the team and just being like, we just
Can
did
you
a
just
live stream.
yeah.
Can you please enable it for them? Because, yeah, obviously you'd want to just start doing this right away.
Yeah.
And
I think you could probably both run and take, like we've kind of gone through the first steps. I think you can kind of just brainstorm out what that looks like.
just challenge, who's the one who's taking the lead on it in that, like, if one person did the initial concepts, well, it's probably more important for the other one to now take a look at them and like start refining. So it should be on their calendar. And then you're kind of like passing it back and forth. But yeah, we had a lot of fun once flows came out and we mapped like our process for the video creation. Like, I think we did it at like midnight or something. And I was so tired, and then I got so energized by the end. I was like, that was great. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, we'll try to get you access. It's just, I think it's easier when you could just make the changes and you get momentum, and by the time you're done, you actually have the thing delivered. Versus like say doing it in FigJam or something. Like it totally up to you. But
we'll try to get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then which account actually created it? Was it Kaylee or Ryan? Like who did the free trial? Okay, cool. And so we'll message them afterward and see if they can do something about that. And yeah, I guess, do you have any top level questions about anything else in your business software stack? Anything like that we can maybe just talk about for a couple of minutes?
Would have its own workspace?
Yeah, like think about it. If you have your own marketing, like for your own company, like that would be one. We have one for admin. Let's see what else. Our alerts are like automation related stuff, so that probably wouldn't be relevant.
Like support tickets. I don't know if you
If you
doing
have
something.
ongoing customers that you do support. Do you use a help desk?
Not typically. We have in the past. We used Freshdesk for
Freshdesk.
years and years.
Okay.
We've shifted now to more custom, hands-on partner style design, and so.
So are you in like
it's-
Slack or something together with your
Yeah.
customers?
Slack and Figma, yeah. Comments in Figma and Slack.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So that you probably don't need to go that granular then. Yeah, I mean, short of like marketing, like we call it growth in our business, but like marketing growth, like how are you getting new business or what things are you doing? For us, that's just a lot of content creation. But it definitely the way to think through this is we just set up this project template, which is quite involved on branding. Like this is going to be a lot of work, and then you're going to have this large thing that you're going to be repeating. If you went to a different workspace, that's no longer going to be there. So it really is a fully different siloed environment of your company, even to the point where you may say, okay, cool, we're going to let designers be in the client workspace, but they don't need to be into the marketing workspace. So you're even talking about what team members are going to be in what workspaces. So you don't want to have too many workspaces, because you're not going to, like, if you're ever in the point of, well, we would use the same branding thing in a different workspace, I would question that and say, try not to do that, because now you're going to update the branding flow. It's not going to be updated in the other workspace. It's not meant to be cross workspaces.
Yeah.
Like
Same thing with custom fields and
like we
statuses.
90% of the time use growth, and that's like where we live. The others are much more rarely used, and that's okay. Yeah, simplicity I think is key, and it's okay. Like you were asking about labels, and if we're like just leave them for now, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Like until you see a way of, like, it would be cool to have another way to sort these tasks or this information, and then you can add them in.
Yeah, no, I think this is exactly what this is exactly what we're looking for, because that's where we were like, okay, is the boards, are there workspaces for branding and then another one for web design, or And I think that's where we got really hung up with Notion was, is this a database of tasks or of projects? And so that's, I think, one of the main reasons we hadn't started yet is we were trying to get more and more information about what is attached to what and what's pulling from what. So this was exactly what we needed to see, for sure.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. I think what we like about it is that it flows forces you to think in a more process way, which is definitely going to be a bit more painful and work involved up front. But I think the thing is most people don't think about their process. And our entire business was helping businesses think about their process. And companies would all the time say, we don't have a process. And then we're like if we could follow you around for a day, we would see a process. So just take a notepad and literally write down or pick your notes on your phone and just write down what you're doing when you're doing it, because you absolutely have a process. And you almost have to, one of the other things is when you start getting into the automation side of things, it's like, when do you have a repeatable process? When are you doing this over and over and over? And that's kind of where flows can kind of take on. So some of it, what we would tell clients to do is actually create tasks and use your project management tool the way that you would. When you realize that you're creating the same task over and over and over, that's when you're like, hold on, there's a process here. We need to flesh out what that is. Yeah. But sometimes before building out the process, especially in automation, if you're using something like Zapier, obviously Flows is taking some of that off. We would even just say manually do this process. And once you do it the 5th time and you get frustrated, that is the time now to actually build it into the flow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and I think when you think about, we want AI to help us, we want it to take things off of our plate, but you have to think like a robot to be able to tell it what you want it to do.
Yes.
And there's so much that's like, well, I just kind of get in there and see what I need to do. And it's like, it doesn't know what to do with that. So yeah.
Okay.
That's super powerful.
Cool.
Yeah.
We appreciate you coming on the Google Meet. We thought, we were like, there's going to be
Hey,
someone that's
for-
open to it.
Yeah.
We prefer this, to be honest, because it's actually more helpful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, whenever you want a guinea pig, we're here.
Okay.
Well, and I'm really excited about the course too. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I'm definitely a course taker. So
yeah, I am too. I love them. And I love creating them too. But it's probably still going to be at least a month or so.
Maybe even a couple. So what we're thinking through is, we built a lot of our processes out in Motion the way that it was, and we knew Flows was coming. The fact, even in the video, we were teasing Flows, and we even used the Figma files to animate and make it look like the flows were happening.
We hadn't used them at that point.
So what we learned through that was we were using a lot of tasks, because that's how they had envisioned flows to work. But it ends up, they're like, no, we're actually going to do projects, because really a project is a flow. There's a lot involved. This branding is really an involved flow. And it jumps from one team member to another, and sometimes it's blocking. And that's too difficult to do with a single task and having that task change and evolve. So they evolved that, and we're like, oh, shoot, we kind of recommended a different way to set this up. But with Flows as it is now, it's kind of, it's more project-based. So we're like, we want to flesh this down. We want to use it ourselves on creating 3, 4, 5 different videos, and then we can show people how to use it. So we're still kind of figuring it out in a way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And what I appreciated is they actually did, before making this, they did I would say over 100 calls with customers, using Motion, and that's where the feedback came from. And I think that's when we saw the first implementation of Flows and we liked it so much, we were like, this is amazing. You actually did it how we would want it to work. And we're not, you spoke to us and hundreds of other people. So they're very good at actually listening to what people want.
That's super exciting. And I mean, that's one of the things, it's so accessible to talk with people about what are you liking, what are you envisioning, there's whole Reddit threads just dedicated to Motion. So it's they want the feedback. It's great. It's always surprising to me when companies don't use that. So it's really refreshing to hear that they are.
Yeah.
People are talking. They'll tell you.
Yeah.
Some are just built a long time ago and they just can't refactor all their tech. But yeah, what's cool is that they started off being a calendar app and they added tasks and then added projects. So yeah, it's cool. Yeah. No, we're glad that they exist.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time. This was amazing.
Yeah. Okay, so nice to meet you both. Stay in touch. We look forward to seeing you.
Yeah, we will.